Hey everyone. Um, I was wondering what I would do my next video on, but I kind of got the idea about something that I came from this weekend. It's called the NYVMC, which is the National Youth Vocal Ministry Camp, I think it's called. And what it is, it's like a Church of Christ youth camp. Music, it teaches you how to minister through music. We had concerts, we had devotions. It was just a really great experience. When I first got there, I at first I didn't even want to go. My aunt was saying, "You need to go. It's really a nice experience. It's really something that you would like." And I was like, "No, I don't think so. I'm not gonna know anybody there. I don't want to leave my dog at home." Um, but then once I got up there, I was kind of like, "Oh, I can't believe she wrote me into this and to go in." And as soon as we got there, we had to go to groups to make up a whole like a song to sing in front of people in a competition. I'm like, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe this is happening." And by that night, we had the devotion, and I was like, "Oh, this is pretty good stuff." People went up to the front for prayer, confession. I even went up to the front for prayer because everybody needs prayer, and it's just like a really powerful experience. And by the next day, we got there. I was excited about doing the rehearsals with my group and learning the song for the competition. I knew one girl that was in there, so that was good. And I like, it was just something you had to be there. It was just powerful. And um, today, the preacher that preached for the worship service said, you know, kids that are young adults, kids mixed in, he said, this whole event is not real life. It's just something that we did this weekend. And I thought about that. I'm like, I don't want this to end. Like it's just a really neat experience, and it's powerful and it's spiritual, something that I don't get on a daily. And it's like I can't leave this behind. I don't want to go back to reality. And he said that we have to pull in what we've learned to help us get through reality, get through this world. When I was looking at the stage and I was thinking about the singing and the chorus and just the whole experience, I was saying, well, this is gonna what heaven's gonna be like. This is just like a grain of salt compared to what heaven's gonna be like, and that's something that I really want to be a part of. So I want to be able to live my life for Christ and be faithful and spiritual to the best of my ability and really try my best so I can get to heaven because I want to be a part of something like that. There's just no words to describe it. It's just something that you had to be there. I strongly encourage, like, if you're from the ages of 5 to 26, you should come. But anybody can come. You can come as a chaperone. You can bring a kid with you or a young adult with you and be a chaperone. So it's just awesome. Some things I reflect about the whole experience is kind of just thinking about what the preacher was saying about, um, living your life as a, like, reflecting on your testimony and looking back on my life. I've had some times where I probably shouldn't have been here. Um, there was some times where God has worked a miracle in my life. When I was 17 years old, I was flown air back to a children's hospital, and we didn't know really what was going on. I was having pain for maybe about, I say, 3 weeks, and I have a high tolerance for pain, so I didn't really think too much of it. I was just like, it's just back pain and stomach pain, side pain. Oh well, and like I have this thing where I can't tell how if my pain is severe or not because they say on a scale from 1 to 10, what is your pain? I'll say like a 2, but really in another person's mind it'd be like a 15 or a 20, and so I can't really tell. So like now I kind of listen to my body a lot as when something's off or anything. But I went to the emergency room because the doctor couldn't get me in. It's like, well, if the pain's that bad, go to the emergency room. You know how it is being in a small town. The doctor's like, oh well, if you die, this. Oh well. And so I went to the emergency room, left school and everything. Thought maybe I was gonna go to the emergency room, and they said, oh, you may have you have heartburn or something, and you're gonna leave. No, I got there at like 12 o'clock and I never left. The only way I left is I was being flown on a helicopter to another hospital. And I even asked like my dad after I had test ran, I said, can you go out and get my lunch? and so I can eat it because I hadn't eaten since like 5 o'clock in the morning because I had early band in high school, which started at 7, so I ate early. And he said, "Oh yeah, I'll go get it." And the nurse said, "Oh no, don't eat yet. You may have to have surgery." I'm like, "Surgery? What's going on?" And they found a very large cyst on my right ovary. Sorry if I'm being a little too blunt, but that's what it was. Um, so we did a another test, and they found that there was no blood supply going to the ovary, and so in order to save it, I had to be air vac, and they said that like it was so large that it could have like cut off my blood supply, and it would have continued to cut off my blood supply in all other areas of my body. So we had to be very quick about it, and so when they got me there, I asked the doctor, I was like, "You don't think there is like a chance it can be cancer or anything?" And he just kind of said, "I don't know yet because it's a children's hospital, and they're like, as a doctor, he's not authorized. Well, without like giving tests, he's not authorized to tell me if I have cancer or not, because if like I did or didn't, and he said like either answer and it wasn't the right answer, then we could have sued him. We wouldn't have, but that could what happened. So he didn't say, I don't know, let's run tests." Um, so I had the test, and they found that the blood supply was going to the ovary. They said maybe it was cut off, but then it was put back on, but we didn't really know what was going on. Um, and so everything was fine. And as we spent the night at the hospital, that was my first night at hospital stay. Besides when I was a baby, my mom had just had me. But um, the next morning, the doctor came in, and he said, he's kind of looking at he had like all his interns behind him, like how you see on Grey's Anatomy, and he's like really cute too. He looked at the screen, and he said, this cyst looks more like it's like solid material, and it could be like a like tumor filled. And he said, "No, let's just run some blood tests, just to be sure, because you can never be too sure." And I'm like, okay. I didn't really think too much of it. So they ran some blood tests. We got back home. I was planning on going back to school and everything. And my mom got a call. She said the doctor ran the blood test, and her tumor level markers are elevated. That means that she's either pregnant or she has cancer. And they knew I wasn't pregnant because they did a pregnancy test, even though I told them they didn't need to do a pregnancy test, but you know how doctors are. So they knew that was negative, the pregnancy test was negative and everything. So they said, well, the first step to do is get an MRI, look at the cyst, see if it's a tumor or not. And so at this point, I was like terrified. My mom was terrified too, but she didn't show it. She kind of just like she called her sisters about it and talked to them about it. She never talked to me about it. And I was looking online about 17-year-olds with cancer, and usually when they had cancer, that it was very serious, because it's rare for a 17-year-old to have cancer. So that really freaked me out. But we went to go have the MRI test done. I had missed another day of school. At this point, I missed like 6 days of school in a row, and I was like really nervous of doing it. Like there was a point in the procedure where the doctor had called another doctor in because she was having trouble with the machine, and I thought that maybe she saw something really serious, and you know how they say to press the button in case you need help, and so I pressed the button. She ran running in there to see if there's anything wrong with me, and I was like, "Oh, I was just wondering if anything was going." She's like, "No, the machine's just not acting right. You're fine," because when they had looked and see if there was blood supply going to my ovary at the other hospital, the nurse just ran out really quick. So every time something like that happened, that gave me anxiety. But anyway, we had the test done. A couple days later, the doctor called. They said that I was so nervous whenever they called. Like I didn't even want to be in the house. I went outside, and my dad came out and gave me the news that did not have cancer. It was just a cyst, and so we were going to start treatment for that. Uh, and because it was so large, they had to start treatment like really quick. But I said all that to say that this is a testimony that something serious could have happened, because I was having all that pain. I had a very large cyst in my body that wasn't supposed to be there. I'm very petite, so like you can like whenever they felt on my side, they could feel it, and said I could have gotten sepsis with the blood supply leaving and it dying and just like an infection there. So I'm glad that I caught it early. I'm glad that everything's fine now, as to my knowledge, and just a testimony that God saw me through that. There's another time where something could have gone wrong. Me and my mom were heading to Nashville to see my grandmother in the hospital. She just fallen. She was going to get a pacemaker put in, and we're on our way there. And a whole tire from another car, came onto our car and hit the front of it. And when we went back to look at the car, I was sitting in the passenger seat. The tire had hit the front window. If that tire had came through that front window, there's no telling what could have happened. I could have been um, something could have happened to where I died from the head injury, or I wouldn't have known who I was from the head injury, or I could have had a TBI, traumatic brain injury, to where my intellectual skills were very low. I wouldn't have been able to function as well as I am now. But I'm just so glad that the only thing I came out of that was a fracture inside of my knee and an airbag burn to the leg. And I'm just really thankful and grateful for that, because things could have turned out in a different way. And maybe my mom would have saw the tire and skidded off the road, and we could have ran into a tree. Just like anything could have happened. So that's another testimony that um, I like humble to say that I believe I have a purpose in life, and God saved me from that in order for me to fulfill that. And I'm really grateful and I'm honored for that, to be able to be on this earth. And maybe it's because I need to make this video. I don't know what my purpose exactly is right now. I know I'm going to start teaching, and I was Miss Metropolis, and I minister through that. And um, I just want to be able to live my life for God and do everything I can for Him, because He didn't have to deliver me from those things. He could have let that overtake. He could have allowed that to overtake me and take me in an early life, but He didn't, and I'm grateful for that. And something else that I wanted to share with you all is when I was at the camp, like I was around a lot of people my age, and they're all on fire for the Lord, and I've never ever seen that coming from a small town where, excuse me, I don't want to offend anybody, but it was predominantly, like, I live in a predominantly white community, a predominantly white area, so we don't have things like that. Of course, there's nothing wrong with mixing in with, because we want to have interracial, integrated worship, but it's just something about being with people of all areas, all different races, all different cultures, all different backgrounds. Everybody has different stories. Everybody has a testimony. Everybody has struggles that they go through. Like every night at the devotion, there was people crying and people wanting prayer and people that were always there for us, and just like it was just I don't even really know how to explain it to you guys, but it's just really awesome. And like I felt for the first time in my life, I felt like I belonged to something. Like I know that I belong to the body of Christ. I know that I am a Christian, but the fact that I was just there with all of them, we're all going through the same thing. We're all struggling with through temptation daily. The temptation gets real with the drinking, the drugs, the I have to say it, the sexual morality. It's just really tough being a Christian in today's time. And it's just awesome to see that we're all struggling. We're all struggling to get to heaven. That's our end goal. It's easy to know where you're going if you know your destination. That's heaven. But there's all kinds of obstacles to get there. And it was just awesome to be with them and to fellowship with them. And I have lifelong friends that I've made, and I'm just really grateful for that experience. And that's what I wanted to share with you guys.